Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hope Talks. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you have seen some of our previous episodes, thank you for joining us again today. I'm just going to give everyone a little bit of time to get logged in and get settled. While we do that, as always, I will ask that you leave a comment to let us know that you're here. Also, please share this stream. There should be a share button in the bottom right-hand corner of the video. It's got like a little arrow. If you click that, you can share it to your page or any groups that you might be a part of, so that as many people as possible can tune in and get some of this wonderful information that we'll be sharing today. So if you are new or just not familiar with who I am yet, my name is Catherine, and I am the Development and Communications Coordinator at Southside Center of Hope. And I host the monthly Hope Talks. And to tell you a little bit about Southside Center of Hope, we are a nonprofit recovery home for women in Chicago. We provide housing and supportive services for single women and women with children who are experiencing homelessness and are also in recovery from addiction. And so again, if you're just tuning in, thank you for joining. Please leave us a comment, let us know you're here, and share the video. We will get started here very shortly. I'll tell you a little bit about Hope Talks. Hope Talks is a monthly segment that we do here at Southside Center of Hope. We're live every third Monday of the month at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, so you can set your reminders to tune in with us month after month. The purpose of Hope Talks is to share community resources and be able to have really important and valuable conversations on topics that impact our community and the population that we serve. So, like I said, every month we do Hope Talks, but every month is a different topic. So for this month, I will be joined by Mindy Rudin, who is the Home Ownership Programs Manager for Habitat for Humanity Chicago. And she is here today to discuss with us the work that she and her team do through Habitat for Humanity Chicago, and what they do to ensure that all Chicagoans have access to quality and affordable housing. So she'll share with us a little bit about their programs, the value of the work that they do, and kind of the impact that she sees them being able to make. So before I bring Mindy on, I just want to remind everyone again, first of all, welcome to Hope Talks. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, leave us a comment, share this live stream, or if you're watching this after the live has ended, you're viewing it later today, please continue to share. The video will stay on our page, so you can share it at any time and get the valuable information to your friends and family and your network. And we appreciate that so much. So without any further ado, I am going to go ahead and see if we can get Mindy here. Hi, Mindy.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing all right.
So I don't know, maybe it's on my end, but your sound sounds a little bit muffled. Are you able to turn it up, or maybe it's me. I don't know. Let's see.
What if I just try to speak more directly at the microphone?
I do think that sounds a little bit better. Yeah. So let's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. So welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Very happy to have you here to virtually meet. This is our first time meeting, I believe. So.
It is. Yes, I'm excited to be here.
So I gave a little bit of background, but almost none when I was doing your introduction. So the first thing that I want to ask you to do is just for those who might not be familiar with Habitat for Humanity, and specifically Habitat for Humanity Chicago, can you just tell me a little bit about the mission of the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So Habitat for Humanity is an international organization working in over 70 countries with a focus on home. So it's building and improving places to call home. And like I said, again, that takes place in over 70 countries. Habitat Chicago, along with other local affiliates throughout the world, focus in their specific geographical area. And so Habitat Chicago focuses in Chicago. We build in 2 specific neighborhoods in Chicago, and we build houses and focus on community development in those particular neighborhoods. But our focus really, home is really at the heart of all that we do. So home maintenance, home construction, home ownership.
And so that kind of is, all of that is, encompassing what I want to talk about today. And what led me to want to have this conversation about home ownership, or just kind of, the value of having a decent place to live, was just that, over the last few years, and it's probably been longer than that, but I have noticed over the last few years in Chicago, there's been a lot of more conversations, a lot of more information about the lack of affordable housing that exists, or the affordable housing crisis. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on why you think that is. We see a ton of development, but where is the divide really coming from, where, you see these gorgeous homes and that, going up left and right all across the city, and then we still have a lot of people struggling to find a decent place to live?
Yeah. Just right up front, so I just joined the team at Habitat in July. And so the housing industry is a newer industry for me. So I'm happy to share what I know and contribute to the conversation, but I certainly don't know all there is to know. But housing, I think, to be perfectly honest, I feel like we face a crisis on a number of fronts around affordability in the whole scheme of things. Healthcare is inaccessible to a lot of people. Education is inaccessible. Our employment, our minimum wage hasn't been increased in decades. And so a living wage has been thus far pretty elusive. As it relates to housing, I think there's been a great deal of disinvestment in some particular neighborhoods, and a lot of resources being invested in few. And so we've also had the demolition of public housing, and so that has displaced a great number of people. Yeah, I think there are a lot of factors at play when it comes to the affordability of housing.
Yeah.
Policies have been such that it benefits home ownership over renters. That's with tax deductions and things like that. We've also had policies that have prevented access to home ownership to a number of different populations. We've had redlining and predatory lending. Construction costs have increased significantly. So it would be easy to say that we just need to build more affordable housing, but the cost of construction has increased.
Yeah.
It's expensive to build housing. So those are just some.
I know it sounds like a big, we got a lot to tackle.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big topic. It's a big topic. And affordability is an issue across the board.
It really is. And I'm glad that you brought up all of those, barriers or pain points when we talk about affordable housing, because I think we see that in, kind of every societal or socioeconomic issue that we're facing right now, is that there are so many layers to it. You can't just, quick fix anything. It's decades and, in some instances, centuries of, just ignoring or oppressing or, whatever the case may be. So I am really glad that you touched on all of that, because, it's all very relevant when we think about, the affordable housing crisis. You did mention neighborhoods. I know you had kind of specifically said disinvestment in neighborhoods, but I know Habitat Chicago is very intentional about where they're working, what neighborhoods that you all are going into with your programming. So I did want to talk a little bit about that. How do you choose where you go? Who do you partner with? Where do you invest? What does that really look like on your end to make those choices?
Yeah. So we currently build in the West Pullman neighborhood, which is at, our development is at 119th and South Union. And we also are we're breaking ground in Greater Grand Crossing this spring. So that's a new focus neighborhood for us this year. We've been working to acquire land there for several years now. And so we're excited to be breaking ground there. The selection process for neighborhoods isn't one that's taken lightly. It's there's a lot of conversation with different neighborhood stakeholders, residents, business owners, political representatives, and we look at the market in those neighborhoods for real estate, and we focus on more middle market neighborhoods where an investment in those communities could have real impact. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go where the market is already saturated or there's significant investment already taking place there. And we don't want to be the lone investor necessarily. We want to have strategic partners in our efforts to really capitalize on the investment of resources. We want folks to be in a community that they have access to the resources they need, and working with partners can ensure that.
And so I have had the pleasure of actually visiting the developments, because I think there's, kind of a couple different blocks where you all have been building. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And kind of, the community of worker. It's just a really great kind of energy and vibe going on in these neighborhoods that Habitat has come into. But I realize not everyone that's joining us today and viewing this has had that same opportunity that I've had. So I do want to ask you for a moment to just actually, if you could just, share the specifics of kind of what the home ownership program is, or what these developments are. What are you doing in West Pullman?
Got it. Yeah, I can certainly speak to that. One of the things that I am still most excited about, being newer to my role, this is the first time that I'm seeing a lot of the construction, the experiences of the home buyers, the closing process, things like that. So forgive me if I am speaking also a little bit as like an outsider to Habitat, seeing this stuff for the first time, because it really has been a gift to be able to be a part of. And so I, yes, I work here now, but yeah, I don't want to be too big of a fan about it, but that has been my experience in being part of the process thus far. The Affordable Homeownership Program pairs an affordable loan option together with homebuyer preparation. And the affordable loan is a 0% interest loan, fully amortizing over the course of a 30-year term. And it has a $3,500 down payment and closing cost maximum. So that alone, like if you were to take like $175,000 home and go through a conventional lender with like a 3.5% interest rate, $5,000 down, you'd come close to about $300,000 in total payments for that house. And with the Habitat loan, it's $178,500. So you're saving about $115,000 over the course of the life of that loan. And so that's something that we're really proud of. I think it makes home ownership accessible to a lot of folks. We guarantee that it won't exceed 30% of a person's income. And so when we set up the principal payments, that's a requirement on our end as the lender. So we serve as the lender, the builder, and then the program administrator. We serve in all of those capacities. But the loan itself, I think, is a very unique product, and it's one that it's just really important and unique. And so it gives a lot of folks access to homeownership. The program itself, the educational and accompaniment program, it has a lot of different components. One is that the home buyer is contributing to the building of their own home. So that's a really awesome thing. There's a lot of pride in that. And it also is improving personal maintenance skills. So when you're out there slinging a hammer and you're seeing your house constructed and you see where the studs are inside the walls, you know where you can hang your shelving so that you're hitting the studs. You know what that means. And you're able to measure, oh, these are 16 on center. So you know the ins and outs of the construction of your home. You also get to see the systems. So before there's drywall and you have no idea where your electrical runs or your plumbing runs, you see that as your home is constructed. Along with the construction requirement, we have educational requirements. So we start out making sure that we really have the fundamentals of our own financial situation set, so that we are saving toward that our closing costs and maintaining that house payment forward. We talk about civic engagement. We talk about community building. Folks move through this process as a cohort. And so they're not ever doing it alone. They're learning together with the people who they will be moving into the neighborhood with.
Yeah.
So they're talking about, hey, you get the lawnmower, I'll get the snow blower. Like sharing resources and building community so you know your neighbor before you even move in, which I think is another awesome component. But yeah, we learn together, we work together, and we move through the process together with a great deal of accompaniment, both from our staff and from the other cohort members.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that they're already working together, as neighbors before they're even in the neighborhood. I think that living in a city like Chicago, that's something that you really miss out on a lot of times. I grew up in a really small town, and I mean, every weekend we're having, neighborhood garage parties or bonfires, or one person had a trampoline. And, now in a bigger city like this, I couldn't tell you who lives above me or below me. I have no idea.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
something that I miss. So I'm really glad that that's incorporated into the program, because I think it, you know, I don't know, it just makes home feel even that much better when you know you're surrounded by friends.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it extends the boundaries of home so that you're comfortable and you feel, you have connections beyond just the four walls of your own space. Um, yeah, where the neighborhood can feel more of a public forum for conversation and interaction and engagement.
And so you had mentioned that, I think you said, when going through this program, the home buyer's loan will not exceed 30% of their income. So that leads me to my next question of, who is eligible for this program? Is that, anybody with 30% of their income, or is this,
Yeah.
targeted group, who participates, and, kind of how do you make those choices? How soon in advance do you need to apply?
Yeah, so it is a pretty thorough application process, and then an evaluation and assessment of fit for the program. So we evaluate applications based on three different criteria, and one is need, one is ability to pay, and the third is willingness to partner. So as it relates to need, that would be currently living in subsidized housing. If you're currently rent burdened, which means that you are currently paying over 30% of your gross monthly income for housing alone, that is also a qualification for need. If you're currently homeless, yeah. So those are some. If you've ever been denied a mortgage in the past, that also qualifies for need. Ability to pay, the things that go along with that is the income qualifications is between the 40th and 80th percentile of the area median income. And so your income needs to fall within those areas or those percentiles. We require a minimum of a 620 credit score. If it's above 600, we'll look at alternative trade lines, but 620 is really our minimum, and then we will consider alternatives if it's above the 600. And then we look at debt to income ratio, can exceed 43%. So a lot of these things are kind of in the weeds around the qualifications, but if you're willing to put in the time to really go through your own finances and to prepare all of the documentation in support of your financial situation, like I said, it's a lengthy and can be a daunting process to apply for a home loan, but I would hope that it's worth it. I mean, I think it's worth it. Yeah. And then the willingness to partner, that aspect is just the willingness to participate in the educational component and our partner hour requirement, which is currently 200 hours of mission support. 100 of those hours must be on the construction site building the house. So that's the gist of it.
And you might have mentioned this and I missed it, but I did just want to get a gauge on like the time frame. I think, traditional home loans, you want to kind of start to look at like 12 to 6 months, if not, much more than that in advance. Mm-hmm. What does the timeline of your program look like, just as far as like, when you apply? I'm sure it takes quite a while, but if you want to buy a home, how soon should you really be kind of trying to get into this program?
Yeah, this is not a speedy process. Our application cycle will open up in September of this year. Let me just tell you about we just launched our current cohort. Their application opened up in October. We were reviewing those applications. So we have information sessions leading up to the application cycle. So you get a walkthrough of the application, all of the different qualification criteria, all of that, we have opportunities to learn the ins and outs of that leading up to our application period. The application period was in October. We were reviewing applications then in November, December, and then the cohort was selected and approved in January. And then we started our first meeting in February. And those folks will close on their homes in either the winter of 2021 or the spring of 2022.
Okay.
So it's about a 12 to 15 month process.
Yeah. Okay. And honestly, I kind of thought it would be longer than that. So I think that's pretty good. And it sounds like you know, from the point of submitting the application, you know, things start moving pretty quickly after that, once you're accepted. Because I just always hate the waiting. You know, waiting for the yes or the no.
Yeah.
So I do want to shift gears a little bit here and talk specifically about women who are in recovery from addiction, because as you know, that's the population that we serve. Many of the women that we serve have experienced homelessness at some point, were homeless, you know, before coming to live with us, are trying to avoid, you know, becoming homeless again in the future. But I think that, and not even just for these women, but I think just in general, a lot of people don't consider home ownership as, I don't know, I guess like a next step. You know, you kind of think you rent for a little while and save up and then buy a home. So I just wanted to, you know, I guess, you know, get your opinion on why people, and specifically women in recovery from addiction and homelessness, should consider participating in a home ownership program like the one that Habitat Chicago offers, rather than going straight to trying to rent or go through the CHA programs or something like that.
Yeah. So a house is typically the largest asset that an individual has. And it is something that continues to build wealth over time. And so that alone, I think, is a really important thing to consider in choosing whether to rent or own. Home ownership sometimes can feel like it's unattainable. And with intention and connecting to different resources, I think there are more opportunities for home ownership. And I'm again, that's one of the things that I'm most proud of working at Habitat, is I think that it does give folks access to home ownership in a unique way. The reality is that sometimes that you feel like you need to save more substantially toward a down payment, and that feels out of reach. Habitat makes that affordable and accessible. Women in particular, I think, have faced greater barriers to home ownership. They tend to make less money compared to men. They're often relied upon for greater responsibility of care for other family members, be those family members children or older adults. That responsibility tends to fall on women more heavily. And I'm a huge advocate of women building wealth and having wealth and being, do it, try for it, pursue it. It is affordable and accessible, and there are resources available that make it so.
And I did like that you mentioned, you know, the value of owning a home when it comes to creating wealth, not just for yourself, but for your family. I think, I don't want to say a lot of people don't know this, but it was a realization that I recently had, probably over the last, maybe 2 years, was just, say you have a home loan for 30 years, and 30 years your house is paid off, and that is what you leave behind for your children and your grandchildren, whether they keep your house or sell it. I mean, that's a huge amount of money.
Don't quote me on these numbers, but I recently read that the worth of a homeowner, the net worth is like $185,000 on average, where the net worth of a renter is like $5,600. So that difference is substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's reliable. You can count on the cost of your housing for decades. Your principal doesn't change.
Yeah.
Property taxes will vary, but not so drastically. So it protects you from the volatility of a renter's market.
Yeah, which
I
in
think it's
Chicago
also
is,
right. Yeah.
a little difficult.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing all of that about the program. It really does sound like an amazing opportunity. But I do have a follow-up question, of course. For people who, do become homeowners through your program, home ownership comes with a lot of responsibility. I think that's what kind of stops people's thought process when it comes to making the transition from renting to owning. It's like, okay, well, who's going to fix my washer? Who's going to, fix my toilet? Who's going to unclog this, all these things that property management companies do for us, that we somehow have decided it's okay to pay an extra $700 a month for them to do it. How do you support homeowners once they're in their homes? Or are they maybe they're just out on their own, but I don't imagine that's the case, but you can tell me.
We hope that's not the case. We do try to support the homeowners, and we try to maintain a sense of community among our homeowners. And again, we have capacity to invest in that to varying degrees, depending on our staff capacity and things like that. But it's certainly one of our goals is to continue to support folks through homeownership. We do provide a warranty on the house in the new construction. And so we're available for that kind of support during the first year of homeownership. And that is also one of the things that we try to prepare folks for during the preparation period of February until they close on their home. So we do have home maintenance classes. So hopefully folks would feel comfortable, if their closet shelf came out, they'd know how to put anchors in the wall and re-affix that. So little things like that. Also, when the toilet is leaking or it's running, or do you know those components of your toilet? So we do offer a home care program, which does give tutorials about different maintenance, things like that. But again, it's important to realize that with home ownership, you do have to save beyond just your principal and escrow payment monthly to anticipate some of these maintenance needs.
Yeah.
So if you were coming from a rental situation where you were paying $1,600 a month, and now your mortgage payment bumps you down to just $1,000 a month, maybe it's worth trying to put some of that $600 difference away, because that was used to pay for maintenance to a property manager in the past. And so now is there a handy person that you might need to call that you can cover with some of that fund? You know what I
And
mean?
I do. And the home, I don't remember exactly what you called it, but like a home care
Yep,
class
home care.
that you all offer, is that only for people that are in the home ownership program, or do you kind of have?
No,
Okay.
no, that's a public program. And so it used to be held in person and there were workshops offered. And now it's transitioned. We've done videos that are on YouTube.
Well, and the reason I ask is because my next question was just to see what kind of resources you have for existing homeowners who maybe haven't gone through Habitat's home ownership program. The pandemic has really created a lot of financial stress, especially for single mothers, women who are in recovery, women who are at risk of becoming homeless. They might have deferred maintenance on their homes as a way of kind of pinching pennies. So I did want to see, for women who are already in a home but don't have those skills, can they come to Habitat for assistance?
Um, so we don't offer financial assistance for repairs and renovations. We do have a resource page on our website to different agencies throughout the city that do provide those services. So I would encourage folks to look there, but that is not something that we offer through our agency specifically.
But they could participate in the home care class.
They could absolutely participate in the home care class. They could also volunteer on our build site to try to learn some of those skills and to practice them. Anytime a woman can develop trade skills, I'm a huge advocate. And I think that's one of those things that I was laughing. I worked at another nonprofit in my past, and we were pretty hand to mouth as far as it went for our budget. And so I was finding myself, I was YouTubing how to install toilets and change the wax ring and things like that. And then a light switch went out and I had to replace the light switch. And so I learned a ton on Google. And I was talking to my mom one day where I was like, Mom, today I changed a light switch. She was like, what? How do you know how to do that? Like, and to me, it wasn't that I knew how to do it, but I was willing to try because the risk, like, I knew how to turn the power off to that switch. And so I knew that I couldn't do a great deal of damage. And so I was willing to try first before calling someone that I needed to pay. And so just, I think having an opportunity to build the confidence or the curiosity or the willingness to try, and doing that on our build site would be significant and beneficial skills and kind of attitude as a homeowner.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I definitely agree. And I find myself doing the same thing. I mean, it might seem so simple, but I changed my own brake light the other day and I watched like 4 YouTube videos and, normally I probably would go and pay somebody to do it. And I thought, no, I have the time. I have the light bulb. I'm just going to figure it out. And, something so silly. I mean, it's quite easy, but just, doing it yourself, it kind of just makes me like my car a little bit more.
Right? Yeah. And that speaks to why we do the construction too, of building the house. I mean, you play a role in creating that you will be, the proud owner of, hopefully, for decades.
And so you had mentioned volunteering. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. Are you still hosting in-person volunteer opportunities right now? And kind of what is that like? What is it? What are they?
Yeah, so our construction site currently is only open to our home buyers at the moment. we are following all COVID restrictions and protocols. So we need to limit the capacity on our build site. So we're not able to exceed more than 4 people, 5 people in any given house at a time. And so we've limited that to just our home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
I do anticipate that changing, though, as the city is updating its COVID restrictions and opening things up a little bit more. So I'm thinking that April will have more opportunity for on-site volunteers on the construction site, that is. We do have the Restore, which is up on Peterson and Pulaski, I think. And that has volunteer opportunities available.
And what is that, like a thrift store or?
Restore is, thrift for home goods, basically. You can get fixtures there, couches, other furniture, rugs, yard equipment. Yeah. Some really snazzy stuff.
I'm gonna have to, I didn't know that existed. So I would love to go and see it.
Yeah.
See what I can find.
Yep. Beautiful artwork too. So yeah, all kinds of things that you can use to furnish your house.
And so one other thing that I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about was the Women Build initiative. When I was in West Pullman, they were building, and I saw it was like just teams of women building houses, which maybe shouldn't have been super shocking to me, but was, and something that was really exciting. I really enjoyed seeing that with the Women Build shirts and everything like that. So I did want you to, because I think we're going to have a little extra time here. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that, the Women Build initiative, and how that kind of plays into the home ownership program.
So Women Build is a particular campaign that we run, and it pairs fundraising with the construction. And so there's a team lead that does peer-to-peer fundraising. And again, it's about empowering women to come out and participate in the construction of a home. And so we focus on inviting women and the teams that they invite to contribute both to the construction and to the financial health of Habitat Chicago. Katie Clendenning is our volunteer manager, and so she, along with her team, coordinates that. It's a significant undertaking to involve and coordinate the significant number of people who are involved in that. I want to say we had like 140 women. That actually might be an underestimation. So don't quote me on any of that. But yeah, I mean, it's a significant contribution in both our construction process and in our.
Mm-hmm. And so all of those women are volunteering, or do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
And they come from a number of different industries around the city. Mm-hmm. Some work in construction already, and others are in the financial sector or IT or design and marketing. And they come out and, swing a hammer for a day.
I love it.
Yeah.
So that really kind of is the extent of the questions that I have for you today. The last thing that I wanted you to share was just, for anyone who might have caught our segment today and is interested in learning more, interested in participating in one of the programs that we've discussed, where's the best place for them to go to connect with Habitat Chicago?
I would recommend our website, which is habitatchicago.org. Once there, you can click on our programs and affordable home ownership, and that will take you to more specific detail about our program. And there's also an opportunity to sign up on our interest list there. So if you sign up for our interest list, you'll be kept abreast of all of the updates for the program. Yeah. I would also say another program that we have that might be of interest to folks is called our Homebuyer University. And that is open to the public. It does not go along with a particular loan or the home construction. It's a 5-week course, and it is a kind of nuts and bolts overview of the home buying process. And it prepares people to apply for a mortgage through any lending option. So we just finished up our last session of that, and then we'll be hosting another one starting up in July. So that would be another program that I would encourage people to look into if they're interested in home ownership, separate from Habitat.
Is there a cost associated with that Homebuyer University?
That one is $25.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No, for 5 weeks. Yeah, it's a steal.
Perfect. So I do want to give you an opportunity before we say our goodbyes. If there's anything else that you would like to say that you didn't get to talk about, feel free, or a closing statement, anything like that. Just, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Just encourage people to consider home ownership as an option, not to be afraid to pursue it. It is something that is a responsibility, but it certainly is one that can reap significant dividends in the end in wealth building. And I think that because of the disparity of access to that over generations, specifically for women and women of color, I think there's a great opportunity to begin to build wealth through home ownership. So, yeah. And if folks have questions, feel free to reach out to me, phone or email. You can find that contact information on our website.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really have enjoyed our conversation, and I can't wait to actually, we're building in, I don't know if am I allowed to say this, but we have been looking at some properties in West Pullman. Our organization is going through some transitions, and the possibility of being close to these habitat developments is something that has been really exciting for us. So I was really glad you were able to join us today and share about your program, and hopefully we can continue to stay partnered.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. And if, again, any of the folks who have participated in your program, if they're interested in a quick conversation, happy to be a resource and give them more information about the program in particular. But yeah, maybe we can go out to a build site and put up some walls together sometime.
Yes, I would love to. I really like using power tools, so I'm there. Yeah. It's so fun. Once you get familiar with it, it opens so many doors. It's quite fun. Perfect. Well, thank you again so much, Mindy, and I hope you, thank you. Enjoy the snow. Right? Yeah. Beautiful sun yesterday. Yeah. All right. Well, you be well, and thanks so much for the opportunity. Of course. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, I hope that everyone who joined us today enjoyed the conversation with Mindy. I know I definitely did. I think that, it's just always important to know what your options are, whether you choose home ownership, whether you choose to rent. It's just, like I said, it's always good to just have options and kind of know what's out there and what you can do to move yourself forward. So thank you again for joining us. If you haven't already, please like our Facebook page. You can sign up for notifications if you would like to be notified the next time we go live, which will be in about 4 weeks. If there's a topic that you would like for us to discuss, please leave it in the comments, or you can feel free to send us a direct message. I will be reviewing everything as soon as we get off here. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about our agency, Southside Center of Hope, you can always visit our website, www.sscoh.org. And that is all I have for today. So thank you again for joining. And I will see you all next month for our next episode of